I hear that you can get these apples of gold pins in the tiki room, but I have never known of a tiki room here. Do you know where the tiki room is? Here, Mrs. Evans. Where? It's the Adams Chapel. Okay, right out these doors, right across the hall. You can get these apple of gold pins. Thank you so much, honey. Thank you very much. Yeah, that'll help. That'll be good. That will be good. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yes. Proverbs 25:11 says, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. Could we say that a couple times? I'm going to say it one more time. Proverbs 25:11, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. Now let's do it together. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. Heavenly Father, I pray that you'll help us to really, after this speech, think all day long and all day tomorrow and on the way home and Sunday. And please help us, Lord. Help us catch ourselves when we're not speaking in gold apples. Lord, help us to learn and practice and study and pray to be able to have fit words fitly spoken, like apples and gold in a beautiful picture of silver. In Jesus' name, amen. Someone told me of a person that felt they had been given the gift of words. And also, they thought they had the power of influence. And they thought that was a life-changing combination. Well, of course it would be, because words are a major part of influence. Words have to be practiced. People start thinking what kind of situations you might get into each day, and start practicing how you could answer those situations. You pretty well know when you get home, someone's going to ask you, how was the spectacular? And if you don't like it, and you want to say a word fitly spoken, you need to think what you did like. And really go on that so big they have no idea you had any problem at all. And if maybe you don't have a problem, maybe you can just go on and on and on about it. But plan what you're going to say. That happened to me this last week. As we were at Mayo Clinic, I didn't know what those researchers and doctors were saying. And I thought, well, probably I'm just the... I thought probably I'm just the only one and everybody else does know. Thanks. I can go either way. I thought everybody else probably does know. I'm the only one who doesn't know. And we went up to a lady who works in the oncology floor at Mayo Clinic and asked her about it. She didn't know either. And I didn't think that was a really good way to have a bunch of ovarian cancer patients come to have to get help when probably they didn't understand what was happening. The only thing that was said that I did understand was that in 2010, they hope to have something that will help with advanced ovarian cancer. Well, I figured there were two little girls there, 38, 39 in there, that had ovarian cancer. I figured their husbands are all already going to be remarried, and their kids won't even remember them by 2010. I mean, that wasn't a very encouraging thing for them. So I had a little problem with the conference. And I knew I was sure I was going to be asked. Well, I knew some things I really liked. People, is it wrong not to tell all of the truth? Folks, if I told all the truth all the time, we'd all be in trouble. If I told everything I thought, because don't you think some really negative, stinky thoughts? Why say them? They're not worth anything. You know what they are? Now, people, bear with me. We're talking gold apples and pictures of silver and all this beauty, and we're ladies, and I'm going to sound so gross. But you country people know that there's some manure that's called road apples. And a lot of us are given road apples instead of gold apples, and they stink. And they're horrible. And we don't need to be thinking in manure. We're talking manure of an animal. We don't need to be thinking like that. And that's actually, you say that's gross. So are our words that are so bad that we give people. Their faces fall right before our eyes. My doctor talked to me on the phone day before yesterday and said, what'd you think of the conference? I knew she was going to say that. So, and she just came out from having had that conference, and she thought it was wonderful. She understood what all those doctors said, so she thought it was wonderful. I was able to say truthfully and sincerely that I really did get the idea that the researchers from the many medical centers who are researchers in advanced ovarian cancer are completely dedicated to finding something to help with that disease. And she was really thrilled that I got that. And then she said, what about that last panel? Well, I thought the last panel just went on and on and on, saying nothing. But the people were wonderful people. They just weren't guided to say anything. And I said, those were really fine people. People, you're going to be asked things. You know just about what you're going to be asked. And then you go, I didn't know what to say. Well, think what to say. Plan what to say. Tell the truth. It's very hard it's not that I'm so good I don't lie. I'm just not good at lying. I mean, you can see it on my face. I bet people go, you don't really mean that, do you? And I just can't lie really well. So, I have to tell truth. But no one said we had to tell every stinking thing we think. People say, well, I tell it just like it is. Yeah, you tell it like it is, and you're going to hurt a lot of people. Why don't we decide we're going to give apples of gold instead of road apples? Words have to be practiced. I practice them. You all know I've got an addiction to my bicycle. You who follow my cancer count and know that in July it was 207 and extremely very active again, but it didn't go up. This last week it went up to 280, and that's not too bad. And it looks like I'm going to have some time with the kids when they come home from New Guinea on December 14th that I won't be under chemotherapy, and I'm really thankful for that. And so it didn't go up as much as I thought it might. And but some of my husband and Carol, who's been my nurse, and others have said maybe it's my being out on the bicycle that has helped me. I don't know what's helped me. I know the Lord can answer prayer. I know He does answer prayer. It did go up, but it didn't go up as much as I thought it would go up. And but I don't go out on the bicycle out of character. I go out on the bicycle because I feel so good on the bicycle. I feel so strong and so healthy, and I'm able to do that. I can't walk very far, but I can go on the bicycle without getting short of breath or anything like that. And I just love it. But when I'm out on the bicycle, if I'm riding alone, I'm practicing talking. I need to practice talking because I say bad things if I don't practice my talking. I'm afraid all of us will. So we need to ask God to help that the words that come out of our mouths be special. People who just say everything, every time they open their mouths, the words that come out are just beautiful. Mrs. Erlene Stevens is one of those people, and I do not know whether she practices her words or not. But she is one of those people. You can just count on that she's going to, even if she has to correct you or give you some advice from the business office or something like that, she's going to do it in a way that you're not going to feel bad about yourself. That we just know people who are going to talk well when they talk, and I don't know how much she's had to practice. I want to ask you, Elaine, I didn't ask you before if I could ask you this, but you too are one of those people. When I come upon you, I know that you're going to say something positive and that you're going to make me feel good. I want to know would you be able to tell me if you practiced that, or if you had to practice it earlier, or if it just naturally came to you? Mother insists. It was mother trained. If you said the wrong thing, she helped you correct it and say it the right way. If you can't say nothing nice, shut up. No, she said, don't say anything at all. Don't say anything at all. That isn't very nice for me to say, and I don't say that to you individually, but I take that license when we're with a group. Now, people somehow, we have to fight the whole world on this. It seems as if when you do say nice things all the time, they go, you just have a line. And you feel like, I'm so insincere, I must be such a fake, that you just got a line. Or, I'd better get my boots on, it's getting pretty deep in here. And you can say bad things and they don't say things like that. But if you say good things, they think that you're just making it up. Why don't they think that when you say the bad things? Why are we so comfortable with the bad? Here are some good words that have been given to me in my lifetime that have helped me many, many years. 1983. You've heard me talk about it. I wrote an article about it. A doctor at Mayo Clinic, a man doctor, said when I was feeling so bad after the first chemotherapy in 2 or 3. He said, "You will bloom again." He was Greek. He's Greek. "You will bloom again." And I kept saying, "I will bloom again. I will bloom again." I thought I'd be a bloomin' idiot, but I did think I would bloom again. Those words meant more to me than all the medical words that he could have possibly given me. Think what other people say, what words you hear them say that really makes you feel good, and use them again. As long as you're feeling that sincerely about someone, it doesn't matter that you've heard someone else give those words. In 1995, preacher mentioned it last night when I went into his office to plan my funeral, and I really did. You all have heard that in 82 I planned my funeral, but by 94 when I got a different cancer and was planning my funeral again, we sat down and looked at the list and they'd all died. So when I started planning the pallbearers the second time, Carol said, "Do you feel anywhere like maybe this is a hit list that you're putting down here?" But my preacher said, "We can plan the funeral. You go ahead and die, and we'll take care of the funeral. Instead, let's just die whenever you have to, but I want you to be the most shocked one. I want you to, if you wake up dead, I want you to be shocked." And I told those people at Mayo that this last week. I told them that, and they gave me a very big applause for that. So I just repeated what preacher said. People, I don't know anything original. I don't know that any of us do. If we don't use other people words, I don't know what we're going to do to help other people, because most of us are just not that original. So what he said that time has lived on and is living in the lives of other cancer patients, because he said that to me. Good words. When he said, "Let's sit down and plan the next spectacular. Now let's plan the dates for the year after that." I just laughed. At him. But it helped. When I was in junior high and I was talking about I was growing so fast and being so big and so big boned and everything, and Aunt Leela said, and I've said it before, and people, if we'd help our nephews and nieces, and if we'd help our young people and our Sunday school kids and just give them some good words. My aunt said, "When you're around Uncle and me, you're around big people." So I was in a safe place when I was around Uncle Carl and Aunt Leela. That was safe. Boy, to give good words to kids. That's what I'm wanting to do more right now than I've ever wanted to do, is to give good words to kids. The people who work around me, the girls who work around me, have children who are juniors, junior high, and that age, and I've just about given up on their mothers, and I'm working with the kids. The kids are where it's at. The mothers are over the hill anyway. And if they ain't got it, they're never going to get it. So I'm just working with the kids. And the kids are just so open to talking with you. And they're so glad to have someone care about them that it's just wonderful. Here's 3 things my son-in-law said. These were golden apples and pictures of silver to me. When they were home on their first furlough, they'd been in New Guinea 12 years, but they were home after 4 years. And when they were home after 4 years, my grandson was not showing a lot of promise at that time in contact sports. And Jeff, my son-in-law, really loved contact sports, and he never did anything with guns or fishing. And it looked like the grandson was going to like guns and fishing. And these were the golden words my son-in-law said. "If he goes toward guns and fishing, I will learn guns and fishing." Then another golden thing he said was when he took Joy to the bush of Malamanda, Papua New Guinea, where someone just wrote the other day and asked, could I tell how to get to them? Because there were some people going over there to one of the cities, and could I tell how to get to them? No, it's not even on the map. No, there's not even a road. No, it takes a native, not a white person, a native 12 days to walk to the nearest village, and a white person probably couldn't do it. And so, no, I don't have any way to tell anybody how to see them in Papua New Guinea. And so, of course, when they went over the first 3 years of this last term, they were alone, and there were no English-speaking ladies. And I remember my son-in-law said, I will talk to her in New Guinea and provide woman talk. I will learn how to talk woman talk and provide her with that woman talk. Those were golden apples to me in a picture of silver. A very masculine young man who was going to learn how to talk blow by blow. He even did a little bit of it while he was still here. Joy and I were both sick. She was getting ready to have a baby, and I was getting ready to have a tumor or something like that. And so we were both sick one time when some weeks while they were here, and he would come home. We say, what happened at church? What happened at church? And he'd say that he'd give us the message and give us one statement about it. And we say, well, what did he say? No, what about this? No, what about that? And he said, you all want the blow by blow, don't you? And we said, yeah, don't all women? We want to know how Mrs. Hiles looked when he said such and such. We want to know what she was wearing. I asked her to wear all beautiful clothes, like as if she wouldn't, you know. Wasn't that a gorgeous suit last night? I just love to see her all dressed up. I like for you to be able to see her too, because I know that you care very, very much about her. And so I told her anything she wears is right, anything she does is right. If she wants to wear a paper bag, it's okay, right? So that's she's got to get it on. She is. So I want to know the blow by blow, and I usually, after I haven't been in church on a Sunday, I let several people tell me what happened, because one will tell me something that another one won't, and I'll get a whole different way that something was said. And those are apples of gold and pictures of silver. I have heard people say about others some things that have been told. It shows me how my dream is coming along. I heard a lady say recently, a young woman younger than I, say recently that she caught herself on something. She had said to a friend, that doctor you're going to is a quack. And then she said to me, you know, my friend didn't need that. My friend respects that doctor, and my friend believes in that doctor, and that's what matters. And I need to go tell her that I should never have said that. Those were golden words to me, because that was something that lady's had a little bit of problem in talking that way, and it was just beautiful hearing that come from that girl's mouth. I thought my dream is a little brighter of the people around me talking in golden apples. I was just thrilled. I was just excited. Now, the fact that she may go back, that doesn't even bother me. I'm seeing her come out. And I'm thrilled about my dream of people around me maybe talking in terms of golden apples. I heard a leader say just recently, when she heard another leader was coming from out of town, I heard her say, oh, good, I'm so glad she's coming. When she comes in, she always asks, now what about this, what about that, what about the other thing, is this done, is that done? She helps me check. You know how a leader could feel about that. Oh, no, I don't want her in my business. I thought, wow. It's really shining brightly. Mrs. Castile and Miss Ryland do so much in connection with this spectacular. More and more even for me this year. I didn't know if I could be here. And so we planned it every month we planned it, and had it since October last year, and tried to plan it so if I wasn't here and that type of thing. And it's just so easy for me because it's planned. Other people have paid the price for me to be able to be here, and I know it, and I thank God for it. And we're going to do a little section tonight, I believe it is, where Mrs. Castile and myself and another lady are going to do a section together. And that section was done out at the college at the Split Chapel several weeks ago. And Mrs. Castile was the one I needed to ask, what do you want? When do you want it? How do you want it? Then I decided I wanted it here at the Spectacular. So she got a hold of me and said, how do you want it? When do you want it? Even though she's in charge of a lot about the Spectacular, asking me what I wanted. I thought, wow. The dream's pretty bright when you see something like that. People not caring who gets the credit, who, are saying, well, I was the one that started that. Or, well, Split Chapel's something I did way many years ago before, none of that or any of that. And to hear someone say that makes the dream grow brighter. The dream grows brighter when you hear a sister-in-law, and I'll tell you who they are because you'll probably guess anyway. Some of these I won't. A sister-in-law up here singing, Chris Grafton, the red-haired nurse. I keep telling you that because a lot of you, when you call into Christian Womanhood, get Jane Grafton, you ask her about your medical problems, and she'll probably answer you because she thinks she's a nurse. But actually it's her sister-in-law who's in the clinic, who's the red-haired nurse. And so Chris Grafton was up here singing just a few days after her mother had been buried out in Montana, just a few days after. And she had said maybe I shouldn't, and Mrs. Colson said, you can do it, you can do it. Miss Colson will help you do those. She'll help you do it, too. That's what's so great. She just doesn't say you can do it and then leave you. She says you can do it, and then she stays by you and helps you do it. You know, a lot of people tell you can do it, and then where are they to help you do it? You can't find them. But that's not Mrs. Colston. And so Chris was up here singing, and Mrs. Colston said it would be okay if she had some tears. Don't worry about that. And she did have some tears, I believe. And Jane Grafton was back there, and she said, I sat there crying, and I thought, I'm not crying because Chris's mother died, really. Her mother's in heaven now and everything, and that's not really why I'm crying. I'm crying because I'm sitting here saying, that's my sister-in-law, and I love her. Boy, I like that. I just love it. When there's a dream that with sisters-in-law can love one another. As those sister-in-laws become closer and closer, their families are going to be helped and helped. Because there's going to be strengths in those four people, that the two brothers and their two wives, that there's three children there. One child's going to need one strength, another child's going to need another strength, and if they don't care, but that their kids get helped, and they don't care who helps them, they're going to have a great thing going there. If the mothers, who are the spirit of the home, stay close. I love that statement, and I sometimes when I go to bed at night and I'm wondering what I don't think it comes to me much during the day, but if I can't sleep at night, and I'm wondering whether I will be taken by the regular route of ovarian cancer, and it's very hideous. Instead, I put in, she's my sister-in-law, and I love her, and I play that type of thing over and over and forget that junky ovarian cancer. Let's just keep that thing going in our minds. Let's decide to give gold apples as often as, just give them right and left and fight to give them. Sometimes you have to fight people to give them. Oh, no, you don't. No, you're just always giving off that stuff. Yeah, I'm always giving off that stuff because I think that way. I hadn't thought to, I promise you, I hadn't thought to do this till right now. I'm going to go right down this sea. I told my husband this morning, I said, I adore her. That maybe is too strong a word. Not as in adoration of the Lord or any way like that. It's not because of what she does and what she can do at all. That's the least of why I do. Why I do is because she'll come in and help you when you're so stupid and you do such stupid things and not make you feel stupid. She acts like, well, of course, it's just natural that you don't know. Diane, come here a minute and get ready to tell when you called her that day, my niece, that day about getting organized. Remember what she said to you, if you'll get ready to say that. Carol had a wedding that wouldn't quit. I mean, I thought it was, some of us, Loretta and Jane and Chris and I, several of us were behind helping with that wedding. Carol had helped with all our not my wedding, well, my daughters and with theirs. And so there was a little dress problem. In fact, it was a huge dress problem because Carol's life had been people. And so she went back to the secretary she'd had and the people that she'd had in her life, and she had the most people, I guess, that probably we've ever had up here. And when it came down to it, the dresses that were not going to get done by the person who was going to do them. And Carol, what'd you tell Mrs. Colson? Carol was beside herself. She'd never been married before. She'd never had a wedding before. And what'd you tell her about the dresses?
We had 34 people in my wedding party, and including the bride and the groom, and the nurses, all the friends who had helped me take care of my family, just friends of a lifetime. And of course, it's so different when you're 47 instead of like 22. You have a lot more friends, and I am blessed. I got to have all my friends. I've been in this location for 27 years, so I had all my friends of a lifetime. My husband Richard has family. I don't have any living family, so he had his family in it, and he had some of his preacher friends in it, and so it was a big deal. And when we got down to real close to the, I think it was about, 4 days away, Mrs. Colston was at my house looking at my dress, and we were having a fitting on my dress, and I said, Mrs. Colston, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm never going to mention it again. I really need you to help me with these dresses. Would you just take it off of me? I don't want to hear any negative about it. I don't want to think about it anymore. And just be my mother in this area, okay? And she just said, fine, done. And where are you going on your date tonight? Just like that.
Do you see why we say this about Elaine Colston? As she said, she just changed it and took that mess over and made it beautiful. What'd she do to you?
I called Mrs. Colston to see if she could help me figure out how to get my new baby in a schedule with my older boy and how to get everything done. And she said, and what are you doing right now, Diane? And I said, I'm sitting right down at the table, ready to take down what you say. And she said, I'm at the ironing board finishing several shirts. Does that give you any ideas?
I thought that was so cute. I like that so much. I really love that. Miss Howes, I don't know how in the world I got you as a preacher's wife. I'm sure we all feel that way. I have no idea why we're so blessed. And all you preachers' wives, to think that you get to see how she is with her husband, you all know that we had a 40th anniversary here for the houses. And there's really never been anything done, and they let they didn't let. They were away 3 weeks, and that Brother Boardway that was up here, we just did, while the cats were away, the mices played, and we really had a big time, I'm telling you, getting ready for their 40th anniversary with the church here. 40 years with this church. And Mrs. Howes, there's no one that can get up and make you feel so good with a whole group like this. I mean, she says speaking's not been I'm telling you, you wouldn't know it. I mean, she made us all feel so good. The night we told about the banquet here at the church, we had a whole hoop-de-doo thing, something that's never happened before and never will again, probably. We just had the biggest time. And she got up and told us what she thought of us and how she appreciated us and all. And you just felt like she was talking to each one of you. And then when we went down to the banquet, after, a lot of things were given to the Houses and all, well, Dr. Howes got up and said he didn't feel like he was the right man to be honored because Mrs. Howes should be honored, the right person. Mrs. Howes should be honored, or people who had been in the church for all these years when they first came, they should be honored. This one should be honored. The other one should be honored. I'm sure he needed to say that. I'm sure this is not something easy for him to do, and I'm sure he needed to say it. And I'm sure there are people. He said, if any of you feel too much has been done, I'm right with you. I think that too. And so I'm sure that was needed to be said. But we all wanted to say, no, this is right. And Miss Howes got up and said, you did honor the right one. Yay! I mean, it's the only time I thought, let her preach. She said the right thing, appropriate, is her name. Appropriate. It should not be Beverly. It should be Appropriate House. And and with all that propriety, she's warm. I don't know that I would love her so much if she is just proper, because I wouldn't know how to relate to that. But she's warm, and she's encouraging, and she's accepting. And I'm not supposed to go on and give biographies, am I? I'm just trying to give golden apples, right? I think by my saying, look at this lady, look at JoJo Moffat, and wives of second men, go out and treat the first lady of your church like she treats the first lady in position, who my name's still on the classes, like she treats me, and you'll never have any trouble. There'll never be a problem. I think, and I think I've had a good time talking about her. Cindy is of a younger age. One of the, I don't know too many that have the balance Cindy has. And yet again, Cindy, with having all that balance in her life and knowing priorities and living by priorities, does not make anyone else feel as if she's superior to them. I don't feel like anybody, she's not too tired to notice you. But working so hard to keep all her priorities in order, she still sees you, registers you, smiles at you, says something to you, and makes you feel like she sees you, and doesn't feel better than you do. It's not it's not so good to have balance if you're too tired to even know people while you're doing it. I mean, it's not as good. Or if you can't give it away to other people, and Cindy, you are that. And yeah, I really think so. Faye, I've been with you a lot. You'd be surprised how much I've been with you. Why I've been with you is I've been with Frida Cowling. I've been with Annette Seppi. I've been with people who have been with you. And you put a mark on them, they can't get away from. They win souls like you win souls. It's so natural and easy, and they leave the door open. And it just seems like it's such an easy thing for them to do. The people I've been with, who I've watched win souls, you are many places over this nation. And I love you for that very much. Carol, I couldn't be more proud of your marriage. I couldn't be more proud. The way that you've gone into marriage, and it shouldn't have been a surprise to us, but you made us feel like it was going to be such an adjustment before you got married. I think you got us all scared. But it shouldn't have been a surprise, because you've lived for your parents, you've lived for me, you've lived for Keith, you've lived for others, so you're living for Richard. And it's more fun, isn't it? He kisses you. People, why don't we just spend our time doing this all the time? It's kind of fun. Why don't we think in gold apples? So that the minute, like if I pointed to you, you could just immediately tell me something about everybody around you. Think in gold apples. I had a lady leader call me a few days ago. She has a big position in our church, and a wonderful position. And she said, "What's that one thing you said at that banquet?" And I told her the one statement that I said. And she was going to put that down and use it. And then she said, now, now, how do you spell this word? And I spelled the word, and she said, now, I don't know how to pronounce it. I thought, thank God, here's a lady who's going, if she does have a problem with pronunciation and spelling, she's going to be healed. Confess your faults one to another, that they may be healed. And she didn't grovel and say, I can't spell well and I can't pronounce words. But she wanted the idea to help people. She wanted that idea that I'd said enough that she didn't care to say to me, I can't spell it. And I was that's one of the things I pulled out and said, boy, the dream's pretty good when somebody will do like that. A 60-year-old lady who looks balanced to most people, very, very balanced, and to me too, said recently when she was with me, and I was working with her on one little thing, and about her talking to people so that people could hear a little better. And I said, I don't think I should mess with you. I said, you already are doing more than I've ever done. I'm scared to mess with you. And she said, I'm here with you because I want to learn anything I can learn. And I thought, that is the dream growing quite right. It is. Brenda Hiles, would you stand a minute? I got to be with Brenda soon after Jack David went to be with the Lord 7 months ago. Soon after that. And I promise you, I thought I was going to help her. I thought I was going to be with her to help her. But I promise you, you gave me golden words that helped me. And that you were much more my teacher than I was your teacher when we had that little time together. She told me, one thing she told me was, a lot of good things have been done already, have happened because of Jack David's going to heaven, but we'd rather have him back than have those good things happen, I'm sorry to say. And I thought, oh, that's okay that I'd rather, some good things have happened because of cancer. People have cut me slack a little bit. I have cut my own self some slack a little bit. Some good things have come. I have learned to ask the Lord to take my little fish and multiply it. But I'd rather not have the cancer. I don't want to keep the cancer in order to get the good. And I got permission from you by your saying that. That was a golden apple. Other things too, but that was a particular one. Thank you so much. A work-oriented lady who just works, and does such wonderful work and enjoys it so much, has fun within her work, and does so much for people, but is getting pretty tired and sickly. And she said recently, I've been taking one night a week off and going to bed very early. And she's also doing some other things like that. And it just rejoiced my heart. I thought those were golden words. A lady teacher said about another teacher who's completely different from her, we're working together on this project. And she's doing this and this and this, and I'm doing this, and it's so much fun to work with her. And I thought, the dream is growing brighter. An outstanding lady teacher said, when I heard she felt I had no time for her, a light came on. A lady who's a great teacher was told by someone that she didn't give them time when she was with them. She always had something else to do when she was with them, and she was with them, but she did other things too. And the teacher said, a light turned on. And I thought, that's an apple of gold to me. I want to let my words be apples of gold and pictures of silver. All I can do is help frame the picture. Maybe you want to take down some things. I don't know if you do or not, but I don't even know where. I know I heard it from somebody else. I'm sure I must have. I got to take a little high school girl to get some things, some clothes and so forth, and she was so grateful and loved the clothes and everything so much. And I got to look into her face and say, all I can do is help frame the picture you already are. And when I got through, I thought, those were golden words she'll never forget. God gave me some golden words. Why don't you use some golden words? Plan on purpose to use golden words. I said to another person, if a little money can help other teens see the great person you are, let's spend the money. You know, we're always saying to kids, you know, you're this, you're that, you're spending too much money. A junior kid came to me and said, I'm picky, what can I do about it? And I said, you're not picky. If you're picky, I'm picky. And do people say I'm picky? And they said, no, I don't think they say you're picky. And I thought, they better not. I said, it's not wrong to have likes and tastes. And he said, I'm not picky. And people will make you feel so good to relieve people of that kind of thing. And then I got to say, be careful to try to like more things, and be careful to let people know of your appreciation for their trying to do nice things for you. And maybe try, when potato salad's put out where you're visiting, not to shake and get white. Another child said to me, a little girl, she said, I'm so self-conscious. How can I get over that? And I said, are you really? You don't seem like it around me. She said, when I go into Sunday school classes, I am. Sunday school classes, I don't know. I said, how often do you have to go into new Sunday school classes? And she told me, and I said, oh, that's a lot. You just have more situations to go into. In teachers and officers meeting, Brother Hiles helps our teachers before we have promotion day to realize that we're going to lose some kids because it's going to be hard for them within our own church to move from class to class. And I said, I don't think you're overly self-conscious. You have more situations than other people. And I thought, that girl's going to love me for life. It doesn't matter if I was sick that day. It doesn't matter that maybe I didn't look my best that day. It doesn't matter anything except that I said the right words to her. God, give me more golden apples. It's fun. We berate and analyze and examine. You're self-conscious. How come? How come you're like that? Well, your grandmother was like that. I don't know if you'll ever get until they're just frozen. Instead of saying, you're not overly self-conscious. Everybody is a little bit. Everybody is? I didn't know everybody was. It helped them so much. Get over the diagnosis and get on to the treatment. I got to say to a brother-in-law, our dad passed away last November 30th. And I got to say during that time, during the funeral time, the grandchildren, and weren't the grandchildren there when we were talking about letting somebody do the legal work? I think, and somebody said, do you trust him? About a brother-in-law. And I said, I trust him implicitly. And I thought, those were good golden apples. You have them with you. You've heard them. Use them. Just use them. If you believe them. It'll be shown. If you don't believe it, it'll come out. It'll show. You can't use them if you don't believe it. I'd like to say to a little boy something that I heard a woman say in Chattanooga, Tennessee. She used to say, Marlene, a man needs a little money in his pocket. So I keep some change in a little box. And when little boys or junior age boys come, I say, you have any money in your pockets? And he says, no. And I say, I think a man needs a little money in his pocket. And we go back and get change to jingle. And I tell you what, I've got it within my power to do that. I had within my power, I guess, to say something good to my preacher because he's mentioned it twice publicly. So I guess I must have. I've written him lots of little notes. I put them on a little notebook paper like this and don't even write them on stationery. But I guess he didn't say, I don't want one of those little fat notebook pages, because he said that when I wrote a note saying you are handling your heart problem, it seems as if you're handling your heart problem as you have taught me to handle cancer. He's mentioned it twice, so I guess I gave him some gold apples. Wouldn't you like to give your preacher some gold apples? I guess I gave my husband some gold apples. There was a great orientation day, I understand, out at the college, and he was in charge of it, and people were telling me different things. And one guy said, I'd like to tell you about orientation day. And I said, tell me 10 ways that day was so good. My husband said, oh, Marlene, you're just prejudiced. And I thought those must have been golden apples. Sally Christner said about Dr. Jerry Smith, my brother-in-law, who's the chairman of the education department. She said something the other day. She said, if I go to him about something about education, he gives many, many alternative ways to go. And when I go back with the answer, I can fit it to my situation in my school. I said, write it down. I'm always saying, write it down. You know, 'cause there's none of that. He's wonderful. He's good. He's great. He's a great teacher. Not general stuff, real. So she wrote it down. Then it happened. We ran on to him, and I was able for her to tell it to him and give it to him. And I thought, boy, and he runs away from it, acts like he doesn't want it, but I know he does. It's our duty, the high school people say, Brother Boyd says, Proverbs 3:27, withhold not good from to whom it is due. Excuse me. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due. A staff member told me out at the college that if they have a question that they would like to ask Brother Howes, that within 3 sermons he answers it. And I said, did you tell him? They said, no. Teachers give gold apples to each student by schedule. Give a look that talks. Give a look that says words like, I'm with you. We're together on this. I'm proud of you. What you're saying is amazing. You're important to me. Think your way into 5 apples of gold and pictures of silver. You have to look for apples of gold on purpose. Some of us deal with road apples that are like stinky manure. When we look for gold apples, people think we don't even see the bad. Oh, I see it, but I choose not to dwell on it. I choose to dwell on the good. Why don't you decide you're going to look for the good in people and start dealing in gold apples? Will you bow your heads, please? How many of you would say, just by the uplifted hand, I need to start dealing in gold apples? Would you put your hand up? You're not saying you will. You just say, I need to. Okay, would you put your hands down? How many of you would say, I am going to try to learn to start dealing with apples? Would you stand? Okay, would you, who are trying to deal in gold apples, would you go to somebody right now and give them a gold apple? Right now, turn to somebody, walk over to somebody, walk wherever you want to walk, and give them a gold apple.